Welcome to the With Clarity and Purpose podcast with your host, Yanet Borrego. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message to empower you to live life on your terms so you can be who you want to be, do what you are meant to do, and have the life you deserve to have. We will provide you with practical and cutting-edge approaches to continue getting clarity and direction on your path, mastering your mindset, and gaining confidence to tap into your inner wisdom so you can live on purpose. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to episode number 10 of With Clarity and Purpose, and today's topic is about Impostor Syndrome. I am sure you have heard that term before, haven't you? We all struggle with it at some level, and in this episode, I would love to shed some light with my perspective. Now, before getting into the meat of the episode, I would love to remind you that a few weeks ago, I prepared a free guide so you can start owning your days and your mornings with my go-to 5 minutes morning routine. In these 5 minutes, you'll be able to target the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of your well-being. Download it right now. It's super easy to implement, and not only that, in the last page, I include a free template. Free 30 days template so you can track your progress and start your days on purpose. I hope you enjoy it. The link will be in the show notes. Now let's get into the meat of the content today. The Impostor Syndrome. This is something that we hear often from everywhere, from everyone, how they feel. And the reality is that it's something that I personally struggle with, and I know a lot of people that I know struggle with too. Now, why is this important? I truly believe that the imposter syndrome, it is a necessary step for you to continue gaining clarity on your path. That is why everyone actually struggles with this. And I'm gonna reframe it. Instead of the imposter syndrome, I would love to reframe this term to the self-discovery syndrome. And I'm gonna explain why. Now, my whole life was very dynamic. As I've mentioned in previous episode, I was born in Cuba, where all my family still is, except my mom and myself. And when I was 9 years old, we moved to Mexico for 3 years. In that move, I had to adapt to new friendships. I had to adapt to new cultures, to a new school. And 3 years after being in Mexico, we had to move to Puerto Rico, where I spent most of my life. Now, in that second move, I had to adapt to a new culture, to adapt to a new language, because in Puerto Rico, we speak both Spanish and English. We actually say we speak Spanglish, which is 90% Spanish and 10% English. You can ask anyone who is Puerto Rican, it's true. And I remember going to Puerto Rico, adapting to a new language, adapting to new friendships, new culture, new way of being. And when I arrived in Puerto Rico, it was October. So literally the first semester of high school was finishing, and we had to find a high school urgently. Thankfully, I got into a Catholic high school, which was very high regarded. I had a scholarship there, and a lot of the students there, they actually, came from wealthy families. And as I observed this, I started to feel a little bit out of place, and I started to feel that I didn't belong there. I remember one time everyone was talking about Christmas, what gifts they got, where did they go. And at that time, my mom didn't have any money to buy any gifts. And honestly, that was a tradition we never celebrated before. So I kind of felt out of place. Looking back, that is something that I felt throughout my whole life, that I didn't belong to a place, because the reality is that I didn't. I was moving from Cuba, Mexico, Puerto Rico, the United States. I was kind of a nomad, nothing good or bad. This is how my life turned out, which I'm incredibly grateful for, because if not, I wouldn't be here. And at the same time, it was something that drove me to gain more clarity in terms of who I was and what are the things that really moved me as a person. And I remember, after graduating from chemical engineering and starting to work as an engineer, I truly felt like an imposter as I working in that refinery with very technical assignments. And I felt, again, I didn't belong there. And because I felt like that way at that moment in my career, that was the biggest driver for me to start exploring, where did I belong in? What was that place that I'm looking for? And soon I realized that that place was not external of me. That place was internal to me. As I started to gain more clarity in who I was, I started to gain insight in terms of the things that I valued in my life and the type of people that I wanted to have around, so I could feel more empowered, spontaneous, and adventurous, because I've always been a person that I love to try new things and through action gain clarity, which is something I recommend to every single person, because you wouldn't know if you like it unless you try it. Now, the imposter syndrome, I'm reframing it as the self-discovery syndrome, because it is often a trigger to get to know ourselves better. It is often a trigger to saying there may be something else in your life that you need to explore, that you need to experiment with, that you need to gain clarity with. Now, as an engineer, I didn't feel that fulfillment, and I felt like an imposter often. And I realized that I didn't enjoy the job either. Sometimes when we are in a place that we don't enjoy, it is normal to feel that imposter syndrome, because your mind and your body are signaling you, hey, you need to move into a different direction. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen in that second. You're not going to go from 0 to 100. I mean, it took me 8 years to go from when I started my career to now, where I'm fully living my purpose and helping people do the same. The important part is that you start walking. It may not take you 8 years like me. It may take you 1, 2 years, 3 years. Every path is different, and it's never too late to start. So that's why I call the imposter syndrome the self-discovery syndrome. You gotta trust yourself, and within yourself there is something telling you, you gotta get to know yourself better. You gotta discover new ways where you can feel that you can belong. And what I said is totally true. It is a journey within. It is a journey that it's inside out, not outside in. It starts how you feeling within, because what you interpret outside of you is a reflection of what is going on within you. So when you feel inside comfortable with who you are, which does take time, right? Because discovering who you are is another process that we go through. When you start feeling more comfortable, you also start feeling more confident in taking bold decisions that may not be the popular ones or may not be what everyone else does, but you know it's the right thing for you to do. So whenever you feel imposter syndrome, you gotta ask yourself, what is driving me to feel this way? What is triggering this feeling? Am I fulfilled and happy where I am? Because sometimes that may be one of the reasons why that you need to continue gaining clarity on. And the other thing is, am I clear on where I'm heading towards? Because part of the imposter syndrome is feeling lost and stuck because you don't have direction. You don't know the person that you want to be in the future, that you're doing all the things you're doing in order to get there. This is something that I mentioned in a lot of episodes, right? You gotta be clear on your direction, and you also gotta be clear on who you are and who you want to be as a person. I was talking to one of my clients, and she's studying MBA her MBA in a London university. And she told me as one of the exercises that the university gave the students, one of the exercises was to write their eulogy. And I was like, that is freaking brilliant. Who do you want to be known as? That is part of your direction. Because based on that, you are going to start taking decisions that lead to that. And when you start aligning yourself with your purpose and the person that you are and want to become, that external validation becomes secondary. The imposter syndrome is also an indication that you're focusing too much on the external. You may be, because it depends, you may be seeking validation from the external world and disregarding your internal validation. So it is also a checkpoint to go back to yourself, to your inner wisdom within you, and ask yourself, am I seeking too much external validation? It is normal to seek it. Don't judge yourself because you're doing it. I do it every now and then too. We are still human beings, and we are gonna keep being human beings until our last day on this earth. Meaning that we will continue improving and working on different or the same things, right? And it is important that during your journey, you strengthen that inner connection and inner trust of doing what you know is right for you. Because no one else will know except you. So you gotta be able to communicate that with yourself and establish those boundaries with others so you can live in fulfillment and satisfied. And whenever you get there, those days where you feel like an imposter will start decreasing. Now, this is the other thing about imposter syndrome. I noticed that, for example, I am in my entrepreneurial journey, and every time I'm going to try a new thing or do a new initiative, a new project, I kind of can feel that thing from the imposter syndrome, right? But it is normal. I don't think actually it's imposter syndrome. I think it's the excitement, the uncertainty, and you and me caring that what we want to do and we want to explore, we want that to turn all right. We want that to be able to impact people and yourself. So it is okay to feel nervous about something or excited or maybe a little bit worried, hoping that things will turn out okay. I don't think that's actually imposter syndrome, but I can see how a lot of people can confuse it. It is normal to feel uncertainty when you're doing something that you have never done before. And I think part of dealing with this is honoring that beginner's mindset. Just being open to the learnings that the path will bring you, because the first time is not going to be perfect. You gotta do it over and over so you can gain those learnings and perfect it later on the journey. But I could see how the imposter syndrome or a perception of the imposter syndrome can play into that. I think it's really important to not let ourselves be stopped by the fear of not having it right, or the fear of not having all the information in order to try something new. We gotta continue improving and pushing our boundaries in order to get there. Now, the other thing as you progress in this journey of life is to start recognizing your strengths. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What is that one thing or a couple of things that refuel you? And part of recognizing that is utilizing that to your favor so you can continue building that confidence in those. Because when you're passionate about something and you repeatedly do it, you start cultivating that feeling of belonging. You're good at it, you're passionate about it, you believe in it. So the more you do it, the more you fill that tank so you can deal with everything else in your life. Now, like I mentioned, we all question our abilities. It is okay. I would be more concerned if you wouldn't be questioning your abilities. I had this professor when I was studying chemical engineering, and I remember telling him, Professor David was his name. David, I'm always questioning like what I do. And he said, Yanet, the wisest people are the ones that question what they do. If you wouldn't be questioning what you do, I would be worried. But the fact that you're questioning is the fact and means that you're open to new learnings and new possibilities. So keep questioning what you do because that's how you start gaining clarity. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to be insecure about it. We gotta, in my opinion, we gotta let go of that fear of asking questions to ourselves and others. We have installed in society this belief that saying statements make you feel and be confident. Ask more questions because that's what true leaders, true communicators, master leaders, master communicators, that's what they do. Ask more questions to yourselves and others because in the path, you'll be receiving those answers, and those answers are the ones that are going to set your direction, are the ones that are going to help you master your mindset, and are the ones that will allow you to tap into that clarity of who you are. I hope this was so helpful. I know we all struggle with this, and it is okay. I would like you to start reframing it into a self-discovery syndrome rather than imposter. Imposter syndrome puts you in a position that this is negative already and there is not much you can do about it. When you think of self-discovery syndrome, it puts you in a curious position of wanting to explore and discover more about yourself. Now, I always leave you with this question with each one of the episodes. So the question today is, where are you needing to take more clarity and direction in your life so you can feel that you belong even more? I'll see you next week. I hope you have an amazing day, and I really appreciated having all of you here today. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.